Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. Well, we're looking at Revelation chapter 6, and actually Revelation 6 and 7 go together as they open up the Great Tribulation period. We should really say the 7-year tribulation period, because it's the last part, 3.5 years of the tribulation, that's called, as Jesus called it, the Great Tribulation. Now, yesterday we talked about why we believe that the rider on these 4 horses that show up as the first seals are opened on the scroll that's in the hand of the Lamb now, as he opens these seals, that the rider is the Antichrist. I think we really need to remember that as we come to the 7-year tribulation period, this is, and the reason we believe that this is a 7-year tribulation period that takes place before the millennial literal reign of Christ on the earth, the 1,000-year reign of Christ, and also the rapture takes place even before that, is because God is dealing with Israel. You go back to the Old Testament, especially Daniel chapter 9, and you see that God has a plan for Israel. This covenant that the Antichrist makes is with Israel, and God's plan is determined upon the nation of Israel of the 70 weeks, or the 490 years. And the 70th week is this 7-year period of tribulation that has to happen and be fulfilled for God to complete the 70 years of the 490 years of dealing with Israel. So that's why we really believe that there's a 7-year tribulation, and we believe that this person who makes a covenant with Israel is the Antichrist, and because he shows up in the book of Revelation and he rules the world. And when we come to the book of Revelation, we know that this Antichrist, he will have a one world government, he'll have a one world economy, and he'll have a one world church, one world religion, and of course that religion will be to worship the beast. Now, we see that all in Revelation, and we see it unfold beginning here in chapter 6. And so when I saw the Lamb open one of the seals, opened the first seal, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures saying with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." Now in the original, the word is come. In other words, come. Okay, time for judgment to come. Sovereign God in heaven is the one that is calling the shots. And so the events that take place in the Revelation are under the hand and control of a sovereign God. And so I looked, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow. And you notice he had a bow, but he didn't have any arrows, okay? And a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. Now, you see horses here. And if you go back to Zechariah chapter 1, verses 7 through 17, you see that horses represent God's activity on the earth, the forces that he uses to accomplish his divine purposes. And of course, the center of his program is Israel, and particularly the city of Jerusalem. As a matter of fact, in the book of Zechariah, the city of Jerusalem is mentioned 39 times. And so God has a covenant promise with Israel, and his purpose will be fulfilled in this 7-year tribulation, just as he promised. Now, Daniel had stated that this prince that shall come will make this covenant with Israel to protect her from her enemies. And that's why we believe Antichrist, when he shows up on a white horse to bring peace first in this covenant with Israel, which kicks off the time for the clock to start ticking for the 7-year tribulation. And we see that here as he comes on a white horse. So right now the world is clamoring for peace with what's taking place in Ukraine, what's taking place all over the world, wars and rumors of wars. And I wish we had time to read, and I'd planned on reading 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, but I would really encourage you to read that whole chapter, because when the church is taken out of the way, the restrainer has been removed, and I'm telling you, that's the church, that's us, then the Antichrist will be revealed, and then he'll make a peace treaty with Israel. The 7-year period begins. He comes on a white horse, and he will have a crown given to him, and this crown is a victor's crown. Jesus wears a diadem. He wears the crown of the king, because he is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and all this takes place before he comes to set up his kingdom. Well, God bless you as we begin looking at these 7 seals that are opened here in Revelations chapter 6. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.